So here I have a 2006 Ford Explorer, and this one is kind of a special case. These things usually come with a 4.0 liter V6 in them, but this one has a 4.6 liter V8 in it. And it also has the 6-speed automatic transmission 6R80, which was the first year model of these Explorers that had these transmissions and motors in them. Now this Ford was diagnosed by a Ford dealership, and they said it had a bad transmission control module. Now to repair the transmission control module, you have to drop the fluid pan, you have to drop the valve body, and the transmission control module on this model is actually located on top of the valve body. And some of the newer models, they integrate the transmission control module in the PCM, so it's not inside the transmission. Now these transmission control modules did give you some problems when these transmissions first came out, but they weren't the main problem with these transmissions. So we can't rule out a complete rebuild on this transmission or some other electrical fault that could be going on. So today we're going to be diagnosing this thing, seeing exactly why it showed up here, why the customer just gave it away basically to us because he didn't want to deal with it anymore, and why he didn't really trust the Ford dealership's diagnostic. Now, if you've ever had a Ford Explorer with this problem or any Ford with this problem, comment in the comment section below. Let me know how it went, how you eventually got it fixed, or if you're still working on it, you can email me at justcallmeeddie1@gmail.com, and I'll help you out as best as I can. All right, the battery was dead, so we got a jump box on it. We're gonna go ahead and start her up and see exactly what is going on here. So it fires up nicely. The motor runs really good. That motor runs real nice. See what happens when we put it in gear to pull it around. Well, it moves forward nicely. Uh-oh. That's a little shaky there. Kind of feels like it's going in and out of gear here. It's not really jumping in and out of gear now. We're gonna get it in here, we're gonna scan it and see what that check engine light is. Oh, hey, Mabo! What are you doing, Mabo? What's going on? Oh, there it is. All right, we're in the Explorer. I let it run for a little bit, let the alternator charge up, and I got my scanner on it, and we got some codes here. Now, there's a problem here, and I'll show you in the powertrain control modules our problem. And I think this U101 is the problem with our transmission control module. So basically, this means we are not communicating with the transmission control module. It's not even recognizing it on the CAN bus communication system. Basically, this module, this computer module, is dead. All right, so you can take this connector off here. You want your hands on the exhaust because it is a little warm. So there's your connector, and basically, if you only have that many pins in it, you probably have the Medtronic valve body and not the lead frame, which basically means that computer is sitting on top of the valve body, which is not a good sign. Now, when I got down here originally, this thing didn't seem like it was all the way lugged in. And this is how you lug it in. It's got to click in down there, and it did not seem like it was clicked in when I got down here. So that could be the main problem. And this was diagnosed by a Ford dealership before me, so we're gonna click that in. There's a couple other problems that can cause the no communication with this module inside of here. See if there's anything else around the car that could be causing this. After I let the vehicle warm up, I was actually able to drive it down the road. It stayed in gear and actually shifted pretty smooth until I got it up into 6th gear. And when I was in 6th gear, if I got down on the accelerator, it would downshift randomly back into 5th and clunk really hard and then go immediately back into 6th gear. I figured this was probably the TCM dropping out again, but I still was not completely sold on the idea that we had to replace it to fix this car. And not to mention, I couldn't even really find a TCM for a decent price or from a reputable supplier. After going home overnight and doing some research, I found a few articles that talked about this issue and possibly fixing it with ignition coils due to a communication fault that is caused by a bad coil interfering with the CAN bus system. Now this is a long shot because this motor seems to run well, but I figured we'll get the scan tool out and see if we can find any misfires on the data stream. We let the Explorer sit overnight. I got my snap-on scanner out here and we're under the engine control module. We're going to go to generic functions. And I think I'm on to something here. I've been playing around with this a little bit this morning. We're going to go down to number 6 here, onboard monitored system. Feeling this motor misfire a little bit at times. So we're going to go right here, and this is going to monitor the misfires for us. So there we have 0 values, okay? We have no misfires going on. We're going to go ahead and start the vehicle up. Idle's up high, and then we put it in reverse. There's the misfire a little bit right there. We can feel it missing right there. No values there, but we had a code get thrown there. Let's see if we still got communication with the transmission. This is a good way to see if your transmission control module is working. If it bangs going in gear, we have no communication. There we go. We have no communication. There we go, look, misfire 8. We've actually had 2 misfires there. Okay, so I'm on to something here. I knew I was feeling misfires. Now I'm going to research a little bit and see if that'll affect anything with what we got going on, because it seems like every time we misfire, the transmission is losing communication and it starts jumping in and out of gear. And yesterday when we were driving it, whenever I got down on the gas and tried to get it to force a downshift, it would slam down into 5th and go right back into 6th like it didn't know where it was going. It's like messing with the communication with the transmission control module. The cylinder that's misfiring is cylinder number 8, and that is this one right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this coil out and just see if we can see any damage or any evidence of foul play here. Oh, that coil is not coming off easy. Oh, okay, we got it off. Well, no evidence of foul play there, huh? It looks okay. I expected it to maybe be wet down there. And got some coils here. Never used this brand, but hey, we're gonna try it. They were cheap, $20 a piece. We also got some plugs over here. These aren't OEM either, but we're gonna try them out. Like I said, you know, hopefully they'll work, and hopefully they'll maybe they'll get rid of our electrical problem that's stumping us a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and change these out real quick. All right, let's see what happens. Well, it's running good. Not jumping in and out of gear. All right, I mean, that's good signs. Both of them, really good signs. It's running good, and we're not jumping in and out of gear. I think we're gonna take it for a test drive. So yesterday I'd get it up to like 5th gear, 6th gear, and then when you got down on it or it would misfire, it would like downshift back into 6th. So kind of like Right there where we got down on it, it would downshift back into 6, but all seems okay so far. All seems okay. Now that we got it driving, I still wanted to service the transmission and make sure we changed the fluid and filter as well, and we also changed the oil. I was fully prepared to pull this transmission out, rebuild it, and I was also fully prepared to buy a TCM from Ford and try to program it myself. But doing your research pays, and isolating the problem can be hard, but if you start simple and build from there, you can get it done in no time. And sometimes the simple plan works out the easiest and the best. We could have dumped lots of money into this thing trying to fix a simple bad coil causing a CAN bus communication interference, and Ford missed it. And I can't blame them because it can really happen to anyone. Even the most experienced techs can get tripped up by a problem like this, but looking to the future, it's only going to get worse and worse. More electrical issues, less exhaust, more plastic, less metal. And we as mechanics and DIYers, we have to stick together and find these problems and explain them to each other so we know what we can do to actually fix these cars and get them back on the road where they work properly. It's not our fault that the manufacturers cut corners and try to make things cheaper while making them harder for the people like us who try to fix their mistakes. So that Ford dealership was very confident that they had this thing diagnosed for a TCM for $2,500. And that is a pretty steep price for just a computer. And you can replace the actual lead frames in the later models that don't have the TCM on them for around $1,200 with labor included. Ford's diagnostic was probably wrong, probably because they just didn't do enough research, and they probably didn't even really drive the vehicle that much or have it on the lift to actually test and see if it was misfiring at all. But now we know, and you know, that if these things are misfiring, definitely change those coils because it'll interfere with the transmission control module and maybe leave you stuck in third gear. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Then you can email me at justcallmeeddie1@gmail.com. I'll do the best I can to help you out. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I try to post weekly content there. And as always, whatever you're doing, however you do it, make sure you stay dirty, make sure you work hard, and most importantly, make sure you play hard. You can just call me Eddie.